about yourself. If there's areas you want to emphasize on, if there's areas that are not in your CV or those are your CV that you want to emphasize about, quickly tell us about yourself. And after that, you take questions from the distinguished senators. Over to you.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki, the Deputy Senate President and Principal Officers of the Senate, distinguished Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to place on record my sincere appreciation for the privilege to appear before you, this distinguished assembly today, as the nominee for the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. This event will go down as a watershed in my career as a law enforcement officer. Distinguished senators, I'm a graduate of accounting from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. I also had a master's degree in law enforcement and criminal justice from the same institution. I later obtained a postgraduate certificate in corruption studies from the University of Hong Kong. As you may have noticed from my CV, I'm one of the founding fathers of the EFCC. When we started, very few people gave us any chance considering what we were up against. But through a mixture of professionalism, courage, and sacrifice, as well as the support of critical stakeholders, such as the National Assembly, we succeeded in building the foundation upon which the EFCC stands today. However, despite the effort of the EFCC, corruption remains the greatest challenge to our economy and survival as a nation. It is no surprise, therefore, that one of the three cardinal objectives of this administration is the fight against corruption. I was appointed by Mr. President as acting chairman of the EFCC on November 9th, 2015. In direct response to this mandate, I am building on the foundation laid by my predecessors. I'm bringing in new strategies to strengthen the fight against corruption. Mr. President, distinguished senators, in discharging my duties at the EFCC, the fear of God, national interest, and the rule of law have guided our actions. There is one more reason I'm happy to be in this hollow chamber today. I see a connection between the mandate of the EFCC and the oversight duties of the National Assembly. Over the years, the National Assembly has been providing the needed legislative backing to the work of the EFCC. I therefore look forward to deepening the cooperation between the Commission and the National Assembly in the fight against corruption. Distinguished senators, at this juncture, permit me to highlight some of the measures we are adopting to transform the Commission. First, we want to restore the glory of the EFCC as a responsive and respected law enforcement agency. We are intensifying activities of the Commission, leading to many high-profile investigations, prosecution, and the recovery of stolen assets. We have embarked on the restructuring of the Commission with the creation of two new additional directorates, namely the Asset Forfeiture and Management of Forfeited Asset Directorate and the Staff Welfare and Cooperative Directorate. In similar vein, we have expanded operation by reactivating our offices in Ibadan and Maiduguri and opening a new office in Kaduna. We are also in the process of establishing 2 new offices in Uyo and Benin City. We are upgrading the manpower capacity with the recruitment of more staff, as well as enhancing staff welfare and career progression. We have also undertaken internal cleansing exercise to purge the organization of all forms of corruption and indiscipline. Despite these reforms, distinguished senators, we believe that there are still ground to be covered to help the EFCC fulfill its role and mandate. We are therefore focusing on prevention and a community ownership of the anti-corruption war. As part of our preventive strategy, we are mobilizing Nigerians from all walks of life for a national consensus on the fight against corruption. Your Excellency, distinguished senators, our beloved nation needs a new national understanding of the impact of corruption. That change must begin with all of us. To this end, our Public Affairs Department has been engaging more directly with Nigerians to secure the buy-in of everybody in the fight against corruption. Distinguished senators, clearly there is connection between corruption and the nation's current economic challenges. In aligning the activities of the Commission with the economic recovery agenda of the nation, we are focusing on the recovery of stolen funds. And this is evident in the light of recent notable recoveries made by the Commission. For example, we just recovered about 49 million naira at the Kaduna airport yesterday. Other examples are the recovery of $153 million and the cash we recover in Kaduna again, about $9.7 million plus 74,000 British pounds. These were hidden in a fireproof safe in Kaduna. Just yesterday, through our preventive and investigative activities, we are determined to create an enabling environment to ensure transparency, probity, and accountability in doing business in Nigeria. This will boost the economy and attract foreign direct investment. Distinguished senators, in the war against corruption, the judiciary is the key both in upholding justice and ensuring the integrity and sanctity of judicial process. Therefore, we plan to engage the judiciary to seek creative ways in which we can complement each other and reduce unnecessary bottleneck in trying cases of corruption. We are also working on making our financial intelligence unit, the NFIU, a more robust tool for dealing with money laundering, terrorist financing, and associated crime. In closing, Mr. President, distinguished senators, I assure you that I will run a professional EFCC that will be the pride of the nation. I will run a very transparent, responsible, and accountable organization. Finally, let me very sincerely thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, and our distinguished senators for your attention. Thank you very much, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, thank you very much. Sir, GSP.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I would like to first congratulate you Mr. Magu, your nomination for the chairmanship of EFCC. I have two quick questions for you. The first is that you recall last time when we invited you, we got a security report from the DSS in which they made some unfavorable report about you. And so we were unable to clear you. But later we got a letter from the president renominating you. In that letter, Mr. President said he asked you about those issues raised by the DSS, and he was satisfied with their own explanations. Unfortunately, the president did not avail us of those, what answers were to those allegations. Will you be able to inform this Senate what your response are regarding those issues? Second, you are an accountant, and you know the need for following principles of accounting in arriving at conclusions. Those of us who are lawyers are worried about the case or cases of non-obedience of court orders by your organization, and then the abuse of human rights in the way you do your work. So we believe that, yes, we all believe we need to fight corruption, but it has to be done in accordance with the law, and that's where the rule of law comes in. So what's your take in making sure that in doing your work, you do it within the ambit of the law, and also the respect for judiciary, which you even mentioned? Because if you don't obey court orders, I don't think that is respect for the judiciary. So I'd like you to tell this distinguished Senate how you intend to fight corruption within the ambit of law, making sure that the sanctity of the courts will also be maintained.
Tomono.
My name is Senator Monsieur Sumono, representing Oyo Central Senatorial District. Mr. Acting Chairman, I'm as well congratulating you for your nomination. But if you go to page 2 of your CV, which says, ensuring that all recoveries are properly documented and accounted for by those responsible. One of your objectives. That means you have the power for forfeiture of people's property. Can you please explain the procedure that you always use and the end result? And also, how do you dispose all these properties after it has been forfeited from people? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Atai Aidoku Ali. I represent Kogi East. My question for the nominee is this. Some detained political exposed persons are being kept with 2 weeks renewable court orders from magistrate courts. This indicates that suspects are being detained when investigations are not being concluded. Hence, cases of fundamental human rights abuses are being won against the EFCC, leading to huge embarrassments to government and loss of revenue due to judgment debt. Examples are cases of Tasuki, former Minister Bala Mohammed, Uche Secondus, just to mention some. What are your comments on this? And what is your operational procedure on detention of suspects, and how can you improve on it?
I think you take this set of questions now.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Excellency. My response to the allegation raised in the DSS is already in writing. If I had known that the question would come up, I would have made copies to every distinguished senators. I say it was in writing. My response to the allegations contained in the report by the DSS is in writing. So I don't know if I had known that this question was coming up. And sir, please, sir, I am not. I really want to answer it, but I don't want to bring in something that will bring reenact rather bring in bad relationship between sister agencies, sir. Please, sir. I can't. It's easy, sir.
Chairman, you're saying the report, I think maybe you can at least say so.
Okay.
Something.
Yes, sir. Distinguished senators, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure very many of the senators here knew how we started the EFCC, how we arrived when we had to leave, how they brought in somebody else and chased very many of us out of that place. It was in that thing that I was actually detained at the police headquarters. And the allegation was that I was having official files. Distinguished senators, I still carry official files, because if you don't carry official files home, you cannot do the work. Yes, as at that time, they are alleging, I hadn't handed over. I was running two offices. There was the office of Joint Task Force on Good Governance. It's a joint task force consisting of the SSS, the EFCC, the police, the ICPC, and the Code of Conduct. So we were looking at politically exposed people. That was it. I was running that office, and I was also running my office in Lagos. So somehow, maybe we have gone beyond the brief. So I was rushed, and I was kept in the cell for longer than necessary. For about 3 weeks, I was detained with armed robbers at Area 10. And the matter was thoroughly investigated. I was cleared. I was placed on suspension for more than 20 months. There was no pay, without pay. And then I was recalled. I faced a punishment of 1 year because they gave me serious reprimand. Then from there, after that, I was promoted twice. Your Excellency, you are aware of this case, sir?
Chairman, I'm only aware of what is on the records. No. I've never worked with the police. Chairman, I've never worked with the police. I'm not part of police commission.
That's why.
I think you need to clear that. I've never worked with police commission.
Distinguished senators. Distinguished senators, please, because I know we have been, I'm sorry to have mentioned that, but it's a fact. There are so many other distinguished senators who know this, my case, very, very well. Because it's a well-known case. It doesn't need explanation, sir.
What is it? Yeah, what the DSP raised there is a very important issue. The last report we received by the director of SSS raised a lot of allegations, which were on the 14-paragraph allegations. And remember last time, an opportunity was not given to you to be able to state your own side to some of those allegations, which resulted in SSS at that time making certain conclusion. and he said you now submitted a written report. And the question really is that, how did you explain some of those issues so that I can be guided? Or after the report, were the SSS satisfied with the report? If it's so, then let us know so that we can move on that issue, because that was a very important issue at that time. I don't think we should.
Yes, sir. Your Excellency, maybe I need to mention that there were 2 reports from the SSS on the same date, 2 varying reports on that same date. So it's really very difficult. But the other thing, the other allegation is that, sir, the other allegation is that I am staying in a house bought for me by Air Commando Mohammed Umar. But this is not true, sir. This is not true. The house was rented by the Ministry of Federal Capital Territory. I'm still in the house. As I speak to you now, sir, I don't even know when the rent starts. So all I was saying is that I was staying at Karo. It was in my house. So at a point in time, I was so busy, and getting back to Karo is very risky. So I was advised to move to the town so that I'll be staying closer to my office. That was the reason that motivated that. And a very senior officer in the presidency actually intervened and asked the FCT minister to provide such house. That was when they started looking for a house. And I was not involved in looking for the house. Yes, sir. Sir, court order, sir. Yes, there are court. Yes, sir. Court orders, yes, sir. I try as much as possible to obey all court orders. If we have reason to not to obey, we appeal, or we apply for a suspension. Yes, stay, exactly. So it's not deliberate, sir. We try as much as possible, not these days, obey the court orders. Issue of human rights abuses. Distinguished senators, sir, I remember you saw our cell. You entered, and I made sure any senator that is around at the EFCC, I asked them, I take them around the cell facilities. In fact, one human rights activist is saying that my cell is like a hotel. So there is too much comfort. So I'm sure they are. So we try as much as possible. Yes, sir. Senator Mansurat talk about procedure for forfeiture of stolen asset. Stolen asset. What happened before we take or trace an asset? It must have been connected to criminalities. It must be a proceed of crime. We must have conducted some investigation, and then we trace. We ask for the court, after having been sure that such property is bought with the proceed of corruption or crimes, we now go to court. We have all the documents relating to that transaction. We now file before the court for an interim forfeiture order. After the interim forfeiture order, the court will now grant us the management or the temporary possession of such property. So we go to court. When we finish investigation, we charge the matter to court. We are before the court. Then if the matter is concluded, the court can decide. It is a court decision. The court will now tell us what to do with the property. Sometimes it goes back to the suspect. Sometimes it's being forfeited to the federal government. In other cases, it's being forfeited to the victim. Like in the case of, there are a series of cases, if it is state government involved, is somebody working in the state government, so the property or the proceeds of the crime are now paid back to the state. When we are doing that, during the proceedings, when the court case is going on, what we do, we have a procedure of appointing managers to that property. If there are tenants inside, we don't chase the tenant out. We sign agreement with the manager in line with the procurement procedures. The managers will come, we will sign, he will take over the property, he will open an account, then whatever proceed we arrive at, he has a percentage. And another percentage is taken to maintain the property. We make sure that there is due process in all this. They are seriously being supervised by our men. So that's about what? About the asset and the management of forfeited asset. We dispose of them in accordance with the court order. The court will tell you what to do with those property. So Mr. said, talk about detaining people unnecessarily for too long, or obtaining serious or remand warrants from court. Sir, in EFCC, we do not arrest people. We don't do that, sir. We conduct preliminary investigation before we ask you to come. We must have done a thorough work before we finally invite you. So this helps us to deceive the chances of abusing fundamental human rights. And the case of Dasuki and others, the courts, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 gives you the power to apply to the court for an order to extend the invitation of a suspect beyond the 24 hours allowed for 48 hours. Sometimes when you invite somebody, the disclosure from the interrogation will open new things, new issues that need to be revisited. And sometimes if you allow the suspect or the accused person to leave so early, there is a chance that it will jeopardize our investigations. So, but as much as possible, because I remember I was also detained one time, as much as possible, we try to comply with that detention. In fact, we don't detain people until we are absolutely, completely sure that there is an offense has been committed. You hardly find somebody in EFCC detention and he has not been connected, except if it is yes, I can say that. So Dasuki was not my case. We actually got Dasuki from DSS and took the statement and returned it to DSS. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Chairman, there's a question on the issue of renewable think he said that they will get a detention from magistrate and then every 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
They'll be returned, and that's the one.
Yes, sir. That's it, sir. Remand warrant. We call it remand warrant. You go with the case file, you make submission before the judge, and the judge you have to take the suspect before the judge, and the judge will listen to all the argument. That suspect will also have his lawyer, because even when we are taking a statement of an accused person or a suspect, his lawyer or relation will be, that is the requirement of the new Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. So this lawyer will also argue for such reason, then it is the court that will grant the order for what usually is 2 weeks.
The question the distinguished senator was asking was that if investigation had been completed, why would they be going for renewal of that 2 weeks?
No, sir, we don't do that, sir.
Okay.
We don't do that, yes, sir. The remand warrant comes in only for when necessary, absolutely, when necessary.
Okay, yeah. Senator Shehu Sani, Senator Magu, and Senator Fashe.
Mr. Nominee, the acting chairman, I stand here as Shehu Sani to give you some 2 questions. Today is the Ides of March, a very memorable day in the history of the Roman Empire, when Caesar was executed when he came to the Senate. So may the Lord be with you. That is one. Secondly, we are a constitutional democracy, and we have an obligation to respect the fundamental rights of the citizens and their civil liberties. But over the years, we have seen a consistent pattern of disregard to court orders by the EFCC. I've heard your answers, but you need to expatiate more, because this has become part of the image of the organization which you represent. Secondly, I would like to know what were your findings and activities with regards to the issue of the Paris refund funds and the bailout funds, which there were raising allegations that they have been systematically diverted and looted by the states. And the last question I have for you is the fact that we have seen reports of detainees dying in the hands of EFCC. And as you said, a human rights activist, but certainly not my person, has made a good report about what you do. So what happened if there is an existence of such a very comfortable and convenient detention centers, and people are reportedly being badly treated? I think this answers is what I need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Ben Wajumogu. I represent the good, hospitable people of Imo North. I have a couple of questions I would like to ask. The first question is, what is your understanding of the special...
Mic is on.
My mic is on. My first question is, what is your understanding of the special powers granted to the EFCC as stipulated by Section 6 of the EFCC Act? That is one. 2 is, how many special units does the EFCC have, and what are their roles? Then third, drawing from what Senator Sani just mentioned here, my constituents have just reached me, and I have their mandate to ask for you to throw more light on the circumstances that led to the death of one Mr. Desmond Anunugo, former staff of Ministry of Defense from Ehimen Bano in Okigwe, Tonimo North, where I represent. And the circumstances that led to his death and why his body was deposited in the mortuary before his family was contacted, and what has been the conclusion of your investigation and what has been done to take care of the family that he left behind. Mr. President, thank you so much for that.
Oh, wait. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Duro Fasheyi, representing Ekiti North Senatorial District. I'm from Ekiti State. Mr. Nominee, can you tell this distinguished Senate how much you have recovered since you started acting as the chairman of EFCC, including dollars and other foreign currencies? B, what do you do with such recovered funds? Thank you.
That's your warehouse, in fact.
Okay, you can take those questions, Ms. Magu.
The question asked by distinguished Senator Shehu Sani pertain to issue of fundamental human rights. Distinguished senators, I am not by any way saying what we are doing is completely right. I am not saying that. It doesn't exist. But we'll try as much as possible to do the right thing. It's unfortunate that somebody died in our cell. That's Mr. Desmond. And the issue of Mr. Desmond, actually, I didn't know he was in EFCC until he was rushed to the hospital and declared dead. He's coming to the EFCC, and his complaint and eventual, when they declare him dead, is not up to 5 hours completely. So he did not even sleep in that place. So when this incident happened, it's a very, very unfortunate incident, and nobody wants to die the same way. And so it's very unfortunate that we had to record that. And that was my only record of death in EFCC since arrival. You can check the record, sir. The issue of the relation insisted that they want a particular pathologist from Lagos to come and do the autopsies. I say it's okay. But unfortunately for us, we moved the body immediately when this was declared dead. We moved the body to the National Hospital mortuary. And the rules in the National mortuary, in the National Hospital, is that you cannot bring somebody from outside to perform the autopsy. And since it is a case of sudden and unnatural death, what we eventually did, we referred the matter to the police for thorough investigation. And since then, we handed over the matter to the police. It was the police that was involved in the investigation. The police interrogated everybody, including those my operatives who are involved in the investigation concern. So it's just unfortunate that these things has happened. This one, I think, Senator Ben, that also answer your second part of the question, sir. We have special unit. A special unit created at the discretion of the chairman, executive chairman, when you want something done. That's why I was saying that even here, the National Assembly, you fight corruption. We also fight corruption. If you have reason to, if we can work together, if you have reason to invite us to give you a backup, kind of add value to whatever you have before you call in the committee, I will quickly look for, get some good ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, and attach it to the committee for backup. So it's purely a discretion, and they are usually temporary. The moment the task is completed, they are disbanded and asked to go back to their distance. It is done purely on merit, purely on competence. It has nothing to do with favoritism. I don't believe in that. I believe in work. If you can work, we will work with you. So that is Senator Ben. The body is still lying in the mortuary at the instance of the relations of the deceased Desmond. And they are insisting that we are now at the level, we were assigned each time there is a meeting, my people go and attend the meeting in police stations and National Hospital. The National Hospital maintain that they have a standard that they will not allow somebody from outside to come and preside over this thing. So that is what is actually laying that. Senator Fayoshe. Huh? Okay. Sorry, sir.
Senator Fayoshe.
No, it's actually sweeter to call him Fayoshe. Yes, sir. We have made recovery. One of the strategies we have in place is tracing, identification, and recovery of looted asset and fund. We are going all over the country. We are also going outside the country. Recently, we have been in Dubai, in the US, in the UK. My men are still on duty in UK and the US. Just primarily to trace and recover stolen assets. This is a strategy. And in fact, I was even saying that people who are, since the recovery of stolen goods and stolen assets has become an issue, that if for instance, there has been the newly appointed, newly cleared ambassadors they are now in a state of induction. I want to suggest that one of their primary duties should also be, when you go to whatever your country, they will connect with us, they will assist in gathering information and tracing and recovering the looted asset.
Chairman, saying, how much have you recovered?
Sir, Your Excellency, Senate President, it's very difficult for me to give you a specific figure. Yes, sir. What do you do? What do you do? The question is, what do you do with the recovered asset? We have various accounts. All the accounts have now been moved to the CBN. We place this money in various accounts in CVN. And sometimes properties, somebody will disown the property. For instance, about a month ago, we raided a place where we recovered about 17 brand new vehicles. These big vehicles, some of them not less than 50 million. And the demand came, and Keke Napep, etc., etc. Demand came and said, he wrote to us, he saw affidavit, he took us to court. He said those properties do not belong to him, that the properties belong to the security men who are guarding it. So we were able to get the security men. They asked security men, is it true that these are your properties? He says, no, it's not my property. So they were able to go and swear affidavit and furnish us. So in a situation like this, which means it's an abandoned property, we now advertise the property. We apply for temporary forfeiture from the court. When this is granted, this temporary forfeiture is granted, then the properties are advertised. We call on every sundry, everybody to come if they know if it is your property. Then we give time. We publish this in about 3 national newspapers. We give it a gap. Then we now apply for final forfeiture to the court. When the final forfeiture is granted, the court will now tell us what to do with the property. Such properties are usually forfeited to the federal government.
Distinguished senators, please, I've taken names of everybody, so I'm not going to let me send it to Ms. House so that you don't ask your question after you go after the chairman goes on, like last time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Senator Comrade Issa Hamamiso, representing the good people of Bauchi Central. Mr. Chairman, I want to ask a few questions. First, I want to start with the celebrated case of the former National Security Advisor. That's the name of Dasuki, about the $2.1 billion that you people are investigating. And I'm meant to understand that that money was given to him through CBN without due process. And this case has been there, you are investigating it, and we didn't even hear a single person invited from CBN. And Dasuki is there detained for a very long time. Money was given to him without due process. And the person that was given that money is still sitting down, occupying his office, enjoying that office. Not a single person invited from CBN. And another one concerning the CBN, we are aware that this recession that we found ourselves is through round-tripping of dollars, which some people close to the presidency are benefiting from. And a lot of Nigerians are speculating those people that are getting money from the CBN. And is it that investigation that has to do with EFCC has to do with the body language of the presidency? That is when maybe if the presidency shifts that this person should be called, or that is the only time the EFCC will invite somebody. Then another one, I want to move to like the NNPC. Somebody like Dizani, you have been investigating, we are hearing recoveries of millions of dollars. I want to find out, is it only Dizani in NNPC? Because there is no way somebody as a minister will steal money without PAMSEC, without some directors. And as I'm sitting here, as I'm standing, not even one single person from NNPC, we are always hearing about Dizani and other people. Then the third question that I want to ask is about the recent one that you went to Sarki Mukhtar, the former National Security Advisor to Eradua. Yes, they said somebody blow whistle that there is dollars in his house. When you went after searching, you did not find dollars. The only thing you found was jewelry, gold. How did you confirm at that material time those things are real gold or they are diamonds? Are there experts attached to EFCC to find out that those, and knowing, did you know the value of those things to parade it to the world that those things are gold and diamond, and what is their value? Then another one, the last one, 4 organizations now are fighting corruption. That is the DSS, the EFCC, the ICPC, and the police. And all of you people, there is no coordination when it comes to fighting corruption. I want to know the concept of financial, economic and financial crime as stipulated in the, can you explain to us the concept of financial crime as stipulated in the EFCC Act, so that we will know and look at the way you people are fighting corruption without coordination. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, the nominee, my name is Senator Sam, and I represent Imo East in Imo State. I understand the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit is domiciled in EFCC. Can you please explain to the Senate what justification do you have to domicile that unit in EFCC? That's one. 2, as the acting chairman, were you properly handed over by your predecessor, Mr. Ibrahim Lamode? If your answer is yes, can you explain to this Senate exactly, because I happen to be the chairman of the Senior Committee on Ethics, investigating some allegations on that. Can you tell the Senate, in proper terms, all the recovered properties, because there was allegation of selling to cronies, and this, can you tell us what is the position of those properties, especially those recovered from Tafa, those recovered from Emmanuel Umude? We want to know what is the position of those properties. 3, whoever must go to equity must go with clean hands. We've heard several times about the members of your commission, officers of your commission, who were involved in corrupt practices. How many of them have been prosecuted? And how many of them have been jailed? Thank you very much.
You can take those questions, sir. Acting Chairman. Nominee, you can answer those questions.
Distinguished Senator Misau asked a question relating to the $2.1 billion transfer out, because that was the genesis that generated the entire investigation that brought out the suspicion open and cause for an investigation. We have invited everybody that needs to be invited, but you wouldn't know. Some of them came in as witnesses, but the moment we trace anything to you, we'll make sure we recover and we'll bring it to book. So we have done a lot of things. And you also mentioned the issue of economic recession. It's most unfortunate that corruption is responsible for 90% of the current economic recession. Remove corruption, I'm telling you, everything will be okay in this country. Some of us went to school without attending an interview, scholarship interview. They give you money. The school fee was 133 naira. You pay 90 naira for this thing. Then in less than 100 naira is enough for you to cover, because some of us used to keep it in the pocket always. So it's enough to cover for first, second term. And this is still possible, because most of the public wells are stolen. That is why things are difficult. If we can all, This is about this country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about this country. We are not claiming monopoly of knowledge of fighting corruption. The National Assembly and the Senate also fight corruption. Everybody fight corruption. The moment we put hand together and fight corruption, this country will be a better place to live. It is about reviewing the past, reviewing what has happened in the past, or investigating what has happened in the past, and using that to protect the future so that our children and the unborn generation will have a better Nigeria than today. Because I had a better Nigeria. Body language, there is no body language. There is no, nobody is there is no iota of body language. The commitment of the president in the fight against corruption is not in doubt. I am sure of that. You can put it above. So there is no body language. We do what is correct. We try to do what is right in accordance with the law. NNPC, designing. No, designing almost all with, she went with all the directors. Most of Momo, Okulo, most of them, they are with her now in London. So it's not her alone. A lot of other NNPC officials that time, and that time it was a kind of a clique. The matter is still under investigation. That is why I don't want to divulge everything. But you discover that there were a clique that actually perpetrated these things. So most of them are now on the run. We are tracing their properties, their money. Some of them are in America, others are in London. So she isn't alone, actually. We went after the people who she fronted for. There is a lot of money involved. This issue of whistleblower policy, we are just starting it. We are managing it. And sometimes if they come and tell you, they seek to give you an information, you have to give them a listening ear. So we didn't know at the time we went to the former NSA house. It was the former NSA's house. There was this time somebody came and gave us information. They carried myself to Mississippi. I went, I saw it was a senator's house. There was this time they came, so we are trying to manage, we are still fine-tuning the operations of the whistleblower policy. I think the fine-tuning will finish when it is put into, when you finally process the enactment of the desired whistleblower. I think the enactment of the whistleblower as soon as possible will help to cement most of these inadequacies. So I'm sorry that we went there, but honestly, because I will not be surprised if one day they will take people to my house, because I have a very big house now. Yes, sir. Immediately we got this thing from the house of the NSA, Saki Mutar. We brought this local smith, the goldsmith. They were there, they were able to weigh the golds, and we were able to determine the weight of the gold. So everything was essentially in order. The four organizations, I don't know, 4 organs. Senator Sam, sir, you said about the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. Good to think that I was a member of the technical committee for the establishment of the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. And I was in the team that visited so many countries. That was the first time I was visiting London. And Italy, South Africa, Mauritius. That time, I think Mauritius, South Africa, and Egypt were the only three countries that have an established Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. The work of the Financial Intelligence Unit is to gather financial intelligence, add value to the financial intelligence, put it in order, and distribute it to the various law enforcement agencies that can use such intelligence. So everybody has access, even though the Financial Intelligence Unit is domiciled in the EFCC, but every law enforcement agency has access to the information from the Financial Intelligence Unit. Just like the SSS, they get intelligence, they add value to it, and pass such intelligence for other law enforcement agencies to implement. We were mentored. The Financial Intelligence Unit in Nigeria was mentored by FinCEN, that's the Financial Intelligence Unit of America. They came here, when we started, they were bringing their personnel trained our personnel. So last time I went to America, we went to America for this thing. We were in the State Department. We went for a meeting. It was the NSS office, actually, very close to White House. So the woman who was presiding the meeting asked me whether our Financial Intelligence Unit is independent. I asked her whether FinCEN is independent. Because FinCEN itself is domiciled in the Treasury Department of the U.S. So we have more than 134 financial intelligence units all over the world. Out of this, only about 4 financial intelligence units. You know, there are hybrids, there are types of financial intelligence. Only 4 are standing on their own. Only 4. The 4 one of them was Ghana, and we mentored Ghana, and most of this island, this small country. So you can see that it's better. Even the Financial Action Task Force recommendation 40+9, I think in the recommendation 1 or so, they recommended that it has to be hybrid. It has to be under the shade of a law enforcement agency. So I think it's better the financial intelligence stay with the EFCC that will help enforcement. It is only they hear the EFCC, they will want to provide the information. Otherwise, the bank will refuse to come. Yes, handing over property, Tafa Balogun property, Ewude, an internal procedure, internal process. I think this matter was discussed before, and I know that the information was advertised, everything was this, on the pages of newspapers, on dailies, and the matter is in court now. So, Your Excellency, I want to crave for your indulgence because it's a kind of subject. Yes, sir. We have internal corruption. There is corruption everywhere. Everywhere, even the EFCC, there is corruption. So we are doing a lot of things. There was this time we arrested an EFCC official when there was a complaint against him. In fact, from a lady working in the National Assembly who is married to that individual. So we started an investigation. When we went to his car, we discovered police uniform. He is not a policeman. DSP uniform with a gun. So we did our own part. We handed over to police. So we have recorded a lot of, in fact, myself, I was the deputy director in charge of internal investigation. Internal investigation looks at issues of discipline within. Issue of discipline within. We have cases of prosecuted person. We have series of cases of people going. We have discovered that people in the account department, they pay money to their relations. We discover this we recover the money, and the matter is in court. We have about 2-3 cases in court. And before we take them to court, we will investigate thoroughly. If we are found wanting, we will refer the matter to the Discipline and Promotion Committee. The committee will look at it, will recommend, and we dismiss him from the service. Then we now take him to court, we prosecute him. That's about internal corruption, sir.
Chairman, there was a question somebody was asking, what are these special powers of EFCC under Section 6 of the Act?
Okay, like for instance, EFCC can just come up and ask you to explain whatever you have. EFCC cannot wait for an offense to be committed. They can come up. They can also come up when an offense has actually been committed. Yes, these are the special powers of the EFCC. EFCC enjoys so enormous powers that no law.
All right. Senator Dino Milai, Senator Gemade.
Mr. Chairman, my very respected colleagues, my name is Dino Milai, Kogi West. You speak the truth, you die. You lie, you die. I have chosen to speak the truth and die. Mr. Acting Chairman EFCC, I love you. I appreciate your sagacity. Mr. Chairman, I have before me 2 reports from the SSS. One addressed to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in October, and the second one written to this chamber and was received by the Senate, the office of the clerk of the Senate, at 5:02 p.m. just yesterday. Mr. Ibrahim Magu, nominee for the position of the chairmanship of the EFCC, haven't gone through this report. The first report indicted you, but because of the letter from Mr. President, you are here again. Just yesterday, this report was received from the SSS. Mr. Chairman, if I have your permission, I want to read paragraph 14 of that report. Paragraph 14 of that report reads thus: in the light of the foregoing, many other issues have been mentioned. In the light of the foregoing, Magu, M-A-G-U, Magu in capital letters, has failed the integrity test. Paragraph 14. Page 5. Page 5, paragraph 14.
The last page.
In the light of the foregoing, Magu has failed the integrity test and will eventually constitute a liability to the anti-corruption drive of the present administration. When I read this morning, I also want to inform you, Mr. Magu, if you are not aware, that every nominee that comes to the Senate, we do request for screening by the SSS. It did not start with you, it will not end with you. So it's at the premise of this request that we have received this from the SSS. The Department of State Security Service is to us what the FBI and CIA is. And we cannot ridicule. We cannot undermine. We cannot put in abeyance the report of the department. Yes, sir. I'm coming. It's a very important, Mr. Chairman. Please, excuse me, please. Mr. Chairman, anyone who, Mr. Acting Chairman, I'm sorry. Anyone who wants to be chairman of EFCC must have the character and characteristics of the wife of Caesar. You must be unblemished, you must be pure, you must be stainless. And from the question and answer that has been going on, from my own myopic point of view, Mr. Chairman, Acting Chairman, from the questions asked so far, from my own, this is my own personal assessment, I conclude that there is, as I speak to you, there is a conclusion of a case right now in the police station, which you are aware of, where EFCC people raided a particular house, C of O's taken, and those C of O's were found in the market. And police have investigated. Two of the C of O's have been returned back to the owner. Under your watch as EFCC chairman, do you still think you, after this report, and as a result of what has happened to the CFO of an innocent Nigerian, do you still see yourself qualified to be the chairman of EFCC, or we take you to Golgotha?
Ready? We'll take three, then you take three.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Barnabas Gemade. I represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. Mr. Chairman, my distinguished colleagues, being so late in the day in this hearing, so many issues that I wanted to raise have been raised and duly responded. But I have two issues that I need to put forward, one of which is a rider on the issue of the DSS letter. I saw in the DSS letter three major accusations. One, which is dealings with security files. The second one being the fact that one, Omar Mohammed, Air Commodore, secured accommodation for you. The third one, which is kind of embodied in this write-up, is an issue of integrity. They say that perception is very important. And this issue of integrity is that they said Omar Mohammed, Air Commodore, whom I do not personally know, is a dubious personality. And this report, therefore, tends to show that your friendship with this Omar Mohammed, therefore, indicates that your integrity is also in question. You have now responded to that matter, and in my mind, as a senator, I believe that you need to respond to this issue. Who is Omar Mohammed? And who is he? And what is your relationship with him? This will help deal with the totality of the issues as far as this letter is concerned. Secondly, my question is in respect of high-profile EFCC matters. EFCC has been in existence now, as you know, for a decade plus. And there are many high-profile cases EFCC is handling. The life of these cases seems to be totally endless. And people are saying, is EFCC really serious? Why is it that their cases are in court year after year after year for a decade plus? What is responsible for this matter? And if we are to succeed in this anti-corruption battle, which is so fiercely supported by the present administration of Muhammadu Buhari, what do you think as chairman that EFCC should do to accelerate the dispensation of justice in respect of these cases so that we can be rest assured that we are actually winning this battle? Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to ask these two questions.
Tijani Kaura.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Tijani Kaura from Zamfara North Senatorial District. Mr. Acting Chairman of EFCC, sometime in December 2016, I was in Saudi Arabia and I read an article that you paid a visit to defense headquarters in Abuja here, and you went there to solicit the support of Chief of Defense Staff so as to assist you in fighting corruption. And in that courtesy call, you told the army chief that there was corruption everywhere in Nigeria, including the EFCC itself. Today, in your opening remark, you also alluded to that. In addition, one of my colleagues asked you the same question, and you said on the affirmative, yes, there's corruption in the EFCC. Over the years, we have seen businessmen, politicians, bankers, people from different strata of Nigerian society being publicly prosecuted for one crime or the other, but we have not heard of one public prosecution of any officer from the EFCC. Don't you think that those people being publicly prosecuted will feel that you are only fighting outside when your home is not in order itself? That's one. And secondly, what do you think the international community will look at the EFCC in Nigeria when you said by your own mouth that your own EFCC is in itself corrupt? I want you to answer this question. Thank you.
This paper is the same paper. The third one that was here, Babati. I have read it. One is missing. In those days, there were 2 of such reports submitted to this office the same day. There were 2 of such reports submitted to this office by the same law enforcement agency. 2 different reports, the same day, about the same people. That goes to tell you the credibility of such an institution. Yes. 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 How can you submit 2 different reports on the same matter, with the same date? The same date. So I have respect for everybody in this hall. everybody in this room. I respect everybody. And I have senior brothers in this hall. Please, I have senior brothers in this hall. Elder Gemade, please, what does it mean if an institution can submit 2 barring reports on the same person on the same day? Yes. Yes. And this one, Milai is here. Milai knows. Dino is my friend. We were fighting corruption together until he came to this house here, abandoned us.
Go.
Sir. Okay. Okay, the CFO, the cases of stolen CFO, it's not everybody, it's not everything that is done in EFCC I have knowledge. The EFCC is too big. Believe me, if not now, I didn't know that there was a case pending against EFCC staff in the police station, because they know if I hear that one, I will make sure I deal with whoever is involved. So I will now go back and investigate and give you a feedback after my investigation. My relationship with Air Commando Umar Mohammed, retired. I didn't know him from Adam. I don't know him. Until we were appointed as members of the Armed Forces Investigation Panel. He happens to be a member of the panel, and I happen to be a member of the panel. That was the first time I met Mohammed, even though he was popular around, but to God Almighty, I didn't know him until we were appointed as members of the investigation team of the procurement of our armed forces. That was how much I know him. And I say, sir, that house, the house I am staying, actually belonged to Mrs. Dora Akunyele, late Dora Akunyele. After the burial, her son was staying in that house. But her son was resident in the US. So the son was looking for money to go back to the US. That was how the house was got. It was rented. They call it safe house. They call it safe house. Every key personnel of government do stay in a safe house. Such safe houses are actually rented and furnished by the government. And in fact, when this allegation came up, immediately I arrived. I called my people, my media people. We went with all the media people. They enter even my bedroom. Let them see the kind of furniture I have, if it is worth what they are talking about. And I'm telling you, up to now, because I have no interest, I don't even know when the rent of that house will expire. When it expires, the man comes, I can still pack back to Karo. I was actually comfortable in Karo because there was too much pressure from people in authority that I must relocate, otherwise they will deal with me. So that's it. The high-profile cases, our job stopped at investigating, thorough investigation of all cases. When investigation is concluded, enough evidence are recovered, then we take it to court, sir. The rest is left for the court. You have an oversight function in this regard. Hello, sir. You have an oversight function in this regard. It will help us if you can do something so that they can fast track the prosecution process at the court level, because we don't have control of the court. So the endlessness is actually in the courtroom. Senator Kaura, I went to defense headquarters. Well, I believe in interagency cooperation. I also believe that everybody has a duty to fight corruption. Everybody has a responsibility to fight corruption. But I went there when I was mobilizing women against corruption. So I appealed to the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, the Air Force, and the Inspector General of Police to please also, we are inviting uniformed women to come for this exercise. And they came on the 7th of December, and we had a good time at the conference center in Abuja here. So that's why I went there. Yes, we arrest businessmen, we prosecute them. It is only when somebody has committed an offense. We do not unnecessarily go after people. This, I don't know whether, sir, please, you need to check whether there is anybody F.O. Adams in SSS.
Chairman, I will advise, just answer the questions okay, yeah. Senator Olujimi, and then Senator Upozdima.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished colleagues. Mr. Acting Chairman. Mr. Acting Chairman, I feel for you because it is very clear that there is interagency problem in Nigeria, and you have not handled it well, and it's very unfortunate. Let me tell you my problem in all of this. My problem is that you have issues against you in this document, and they are very grave issues. And like someone said as I was coming in, when you come to equity, you must come with clean hands, and very clean hands. Can you honestly say that with this albatross, anybody you are prosecuting can take you as a serious prosecutor of corruption? That's number one. Number two, the anti-corruption process is such that someone mentioned has been fraught with all sorts of things. You are always working from the answer to the question. And the Constitution presumes everybody innocent until proved guilty. But you pick everybody, lock them all up in that underground place, and compel them to say even things they don't know anything about. Because, of course, when a man is under pressure, he will say anything. How can you defend this? And what justifies this prosecution, especially on the pages of the newspapers? Because you come up and prosecute everybody on the pages of the newspapers before you've done that in the courts. That's the second one. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, how can you now honestly say that that job should be left for a man who has all this against him, has not been able to defend it well, and wants to keep staying on that job? Can you please speak to this questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues. Mr. Nominee, let me join other speakers in congratulating you. I have 5 questions for you. But I'll do my best to compress them into maybe 2 or 3. Recently, you charged some senior judges to court that were arrested by DSS. In charging them to court, what was the involvement of Nigerian Judicial Council, NJC? And to what extent did you substantiate allegations against them that warrant the charges? How much of political influence have come under you since your appointment as the acting chairman in the investigation of cases? And how have such influences affected the treatment of your investigations?
Thank you.
There have been so many complaints against the recruitment of personnel in EFCC. To what extent have you complied with federal character in your employment processes? And you have a representation of the 6th geopolitical zone equally in your nominal role. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm beginning to see that the questions are now being repetitive. So I'll take a question from Senator Dambaba, and then we'll allow the nominee to answer that. And then unless there's any specific other, I think we should stop the questions. Senator Dambaba.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my dear colleagues. First of all, I want to congratulate the nominee on his nomination by the presidency. My question is this: you will agree with me that Nigerians voted overwhelmingly for this administration because they have faith in this administration's fight to fight corruption. Now, for the administration to fight corruption, there must be a strong institution operated by people that are also clean.
Men of integrity.
Men of integrity. Now, the question is, can you explain your indictment by the Department of State Security, which found you capable of action prejudicial to state security? 2, if under your watch, as acting chairman of EFCC, a person is found guilty of action that is prejudicial to state security, what action would you take? In other words, what would be your response? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Nominee, if you can take those questions.
Oh, yes, sir. Your Excellency. Your Excellency. I will start with Senator Dambaba. We have been able to, that's the vision, to have a very strong EFCC involved with best practice. If you have been to any conference outside this country, if you are attending any conference outside Nigeria, like the UK and the US, yes, sir. When you mentioned the word EFCC, you don't have to explain. Even the Oibos who are involved in what we are doing all over the world, you don't have to say EFCC Nigeria, or you don't have to say Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So EFCC has remained very, very strong as an institution. And we want to move it. It's not about individual. It's about bringing up a very strong law enforcement agency. The DSS you report to, the DSS report you refer to, there is right of fair hearing. If somebody is raising allegation against me, that somebody is supposed to give me a chance of hearing. Up to this time, the DSS has never invited me to hear from me. So there is no fair hearing. That's a fundamental issue. That's the constitutional issue. Okay. No, I talk like this. Sorry, sir. The question asked by Senator Hope is about the prosecution of judges. Most of these prosecution of judges are being done by the Minister of Justice, but we have one or two in Lagos. And tomorrow, we will prosecute the former Chief Judge of Enugu. The prosecution will start tomorrow. In all the cases, in that one, the National Judicial Council was properly involved. In fact, it was when the National Judicial Council has taken decision and has discharged the judge. That was when they handed him over to us for investigation. No political influence. Yes, we don't. No political influence at all. The federal character, sir, we have, sir, distinguished senators, I'm sorry I usually talk like this. I'm not being rude, it's just my nature. Please, sir.
Don't worry, you're covered. Go ahead.
The federal character, we have employed the inspectors, the DSS, and the superintendent will be reporting on the 18th. We take equal number of cadets from each state. There may be different of one or two. And each state of the federation, you hardly, except in 2 or 3 cases, you hardly
find us recruiting 2 people in one local government. It's really very, 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 very transparent. It's open. We brought it here. We had a meeting with the Federal Character, the House of Rep Federal Character Committee. You can check it. Yes, we make sure there's Federal Character Commission. Federal Character, listen. The question asked by Senator Olujimi, yes, we don't really, by deliberate, go to newspapers. We try to be very transparent in whatever we do. And in fact, there is a provision in this law that requires us to, the EFCC Act. There is a provision in the EFCC Act. This is the section 6, functions of the Commission. Section C, subsection P, carrying out and sustaining rigorous public enlightenment campaign against economic and financial crime within and outside Nigeria. So we want to be very transparent in addition to the powers given to us by this act to publicize our activities. We want the people to know. And then let that one serve as deterrent to others to commit the same offense.
Chairman,
yes,
I think you've been fair enough. You've taken a number of questions with us, and most of these questions are repeating. So we'll end this session here at this time. Thank you very much for your appearance.
Excuse me. Sorry, sir. We're live on NTA, please. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, how did it go? Sorry, open up now.
No, it went well.
Yes.
We are determined to fight corruption.
Okay.
To finish.
All right.
I am telling you, we are determined to fight corruption.
Okay.
Yes.
Two things.
Nobody can stop that.
Okay, 2 things really of paramount importance. One, the issue of high-profile cases. Is there any renewed determination to get to that.
But you can see now, we have just convicted an ex-governor.
Okay.
So there is improvement.
All right.
There was never conviction of an ex-governor.
All right. One other issue people are concerned about is the issue of safety and security of whistleblowers.
No, we are working on that.
Okay.
We guarantee the safety.
All right.
We guarantee the security. Okay. Yes.
Okay,
well, excuse me. Yep. Well, you've heard it all from... Sorry. You've heard it all from the, well, chairman now, we can say possibly, of the EFCC. While we'll congratulate him, we, as he has said, hope that there will be renewed vigor in him pursuing to its logical conclusion corruption in Nigeria, which happens to be one of the major problems of this country. Well, on behalf of the entire production crew of this production, this is Wazir Zayan saying, have a very pleasant day and bye-bye.